The soul is not a metaphor. It is not an abstract idea whispered by poets or a romantic notion carved into the walls of churches long abandoned by faith. The soul is a force, primordial, ancient, sovereign, older than your name, older than this body you inhabit, older even than your memory of existence itself. But you ignore it. You distract yourself with the noise of the world, the applause of others, the comfort of routine, and the illusions your ego carefully arranges like mirrors reflecting only what you want to see. Yet deep beneath these surfaces there is a silent territory you refuse to enter. This is the truth about the soul. It does not disappear when you ignore it. It waits. It waits in the silent chambers of your unconscious, in the corners of your dreams, in the ache you cannot explain at midnight, in the tear you wipe away for no reason in the middle of the day. It is not content to be dismissed because it is the very root of who you are, your origin, your purpose, your true name. As the psalmist wrote, "Deep calls unto deep," Psalm 42:7, but you have stopped listening. You have mistaken the shallow for the profound, the loud for the true. But the soul is not shallow, nor loud. It moves in symbols, speaks in images, and demands not your intellect but your attention, your surrender. You were not born to be an image of others' expectations. You were not born to inhabit the fragile constructs of ego that you defend with such desperate energy. You were born to walk the labyrinth within, to confront the monsters your mind has exiled to the shadows, to retrieve the lost fragments of your being, and to return, not as you were, but as you truly are. Yet, you have been told to ignore this. You were told that the soul is for mystics and monks, not for those who live in the real world. But what is the real world if not a mirror of your inner reality? What is your life if not a projection of the state of your soul? As Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart, but you avert your gaze. The shadow is too dark, the unconscious too vast, the archetypes too overwhelming. You tell yourself, "I am fine," but the soul knows when you lie. There are wounds within you that have never been acknowledged, voices in your psyche that have never been heard, gods in your inner pantheon that have never been worshipped. The soul is not just the light you show to the world, it is also the darkness you bury. It is the sum of all you are, known and unknown, accepted and rejected. This is the truth you are ignoring. To live without engaging the soul is to live as a stranger to yourself. You chase success, but you cannot feel fulfilled. You pursue relationships, but you cannot feel seen. You seek pleasure, but you cannot feel joy. Because the soul is not interested in the accumulation of things nor in the performance of roles. The soul desires only one thing, wholeness, and wholeness requires descent. Descent into the places you fear the most, your shadow, your pain, your failures, your lost dreams. This is not a descent into despair, but into depth. The psalm declares, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." Psalm 23:4. This is the valley you must walk through, not in the external world, but within your own psyche. You must stop ignoring the invitations of your soul, the sleepless nights, the discontent, the longing that no achievement can satisfy. These are not symptoms of weakness. They are messages from your soul, urging you to return to yourself. The self, not the ego, is your true center, your north star, your eternal anchor in the chaos of existence. But to find it, you must be willing to lose yourself. You must let go of who you think you are, of the masks you wear, of the defenses you've built, of the control you grip so tightly. You must fall, like the seed into the earth, and allow the darkness to transform you. The journey is not linear. It spirals, like the ancient mandalas Jung drew when he was losing his own mind, searching for his own soul. It spirals inward, through layers of resistance, through centuries of conditioning, through lifetimes of forgetting, until finally, you reach that silent center, the sacred, unchanging core of your being, and there, you remember. You remember that you are not your failures nor your successes. You are not your traumas nor your achievements. You are not the persona you present nor the wounds you conceal. You are, simply and profoundly, a soul on a journey of becoming. This is the truth you have been ignoring. The soul is not waiting for you to be perfect. It is waiting for you to be present, to stop running, to stop performing, to stop pretending, and to start listening. Because in the stillness, beyond all your strategies and defenses, there is a voice, ancient and familiar, whispering, "Come home." The soul is your home. No matter how far you've strayed, no matter how many masks you've worn, no matter how long you've ignored its call, it remains, waiting, patient, eternal, undiminished. The question is not whether the soul is calling you. It always is. The question is, will you answer? But answering this call is not an act of comfort. It is not a retreat into some serene escape from the world. No, it is a confrontation, a sacred collision between who you have become and who you were meant to be. The soul does not flatter your ego. It dismantles it. The moment you say yes to this call, the architecture of your false self begins to crack. The carefully constructed persona you have maintained, polished, acceptable, successful, begins to feel unbearably hollow. The roles you've played so well become suffocating costumes, and the soul, in its relentless love for your truth, tears them away one by one. This is why you have ignored the soul for so long, not because you did not hear it, but because you feared what it would ask of you. The soul asks everything. It does not negotiate with your fears nor make compromises with your comfort. It requires your full participation, your total surrender. Like the voice of God in the burning bush, it calls, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Exodus 3:5. The ground of your own being, holy, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. The soul wants you real, not impressive, not invulnerable, not admired, but real, raw, awake. To awaken is to feel the weight of all that you've suppressed, the grief you never wept, the anger you never expressed, the love you never allowed yourself to fully receive, the joy you postponed for some distant future when you would finally deserve it. But you were always worthy, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You are a living mystery, woven from spirit and flesh, from earth and breath, from dust and eternity. You are, as the Psalm says, fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 139:14. Yet you walk through life as though you were accidental, disposable, insignificant. How would your life change if you believed, truly believed, that you are not a mistake, that your longings are not flaws to be suppressed, but compass points guiding you home, that your wounds are not shameful weaknesses, but sacred initiations, invitations to descend deeper into yourself, to become more fully human, and, paradoxically, more fully divine. This is what Jung understood when he spoke of the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are. Individuation is not self-improvement. It is not about adding skills or achieving goals. It is about subtraction, about letting go of what is false, releasing the inherited patterns, the collective expectations, the ancestral scripts that no longer serve you. It is about remembering. The soul remembers everything you have forgotten, the dreams you silenced as a child, the passions you abandoned in adolescence, the truths you buried in adulthood. It holds them all, waiting for the moment you are ready to reclaim them. But most of all, the soul remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. And when you answer the call of the soul, you begin the descent into the underworld of your own psyche, where these lost parts reside. This is the territory of the shadow, the parts of yourself you have disowned, judged, denied. Your rage, your lust, your envy, your despair, all live here, not as enemies, but as exiled fragments of your own wholeness waiting to be integrated. The journey through the shadow is treacherous. It is easy to become lost, to mistake these dark forces as your identity, to be consumed by them. But you are not meant to be consumed. You are meant to be transformed. The psalmist wrote, "Surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me. But even the darkness will not be dark to you." Psalm 139:11-12. There is no darkness within you that the soul cannot illuminate. No wound too deep, no sin too shameful, no failure too great. But you must be willing to look. You must be willing to stand naked before the mirror of your own psyche and see without distortion all that you are, the light and the dark, the noble and the base, the sacred and the profane. For only then can you be free. Freedom is not found in denial. Freedom is not found in perfection. Freedom is found in integration, in bringing together all the disparate parts of your being into a cohesive, authentic whole. This is the alchemy of the soul, not the transmutation of lead into gold, but a fragmented self into unified self. And the self. Oh, the self is not what you think. The self is not your best version. It is not your most successful persona. It is not your most impressive achievement. The self is the totality of your being, finite and infinite, human and divine, temporal and eternal. It is the imago Dei, the image of God within you, as ancient wisdom has always declared. But to encounter the self is to risk everything you know. It is to stand at the threshold between who you have been and who you could become, trembling with the realization that you are far more vast, more mysterious, more powerful than you have ever dared to believe. As Jung wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But this privilege comes at a price. The price is your illusion. The illusion that you are in control. The illusion that you know yourself. The illusion that you can navigate life without ever confronting your own soul. The soul does not demand that you change. It demands that you awaken. And awakening is painful. It is the tearing away of false certainty, the collapse of comfortable lies, the shattering of all the identities you have so carefully constructed. But in the ruins of those lies, something miraculous happens. You begin to hear the voice of your soul again, not as a distant echo, but as an intimate whisper, guiding you, calling you, inviting you to live, not from fear, but from authenticity, not from performance but from presence, not from survival, but from purpose. This is the truth about the soul that you are ignoring. It is the most faithful companion you will ever have, and yet it will never chase you. It will wait. It will wait for you to stop running. It will wait for you to stop numbing. It will wait for you to stop pretending, and when you are ready, it will lead you home. But what is home, if not the place within yourself where nothing is hidden? hidden, where nothing is denied, where all that you are, all that you have ever been, is welcomed, held, embraced. Home is not a destination in the world. It is a state of being, a place where you are no longer at war with yourself, where the parts you once disowned are gathered together, not in conflict, but in communion. This is the ultimate truth about the soul. It does not seek perfection, it seeks unity. And yet, unity is the very thing you resist. You have been conditioned to divide yourself, to split the acceptable from the unacceptable, the good from the bad, the light from the dark. You have been taught that to be worthy, you must eliminate your flaws, suppress your impulses, hide your wounds. But the soul knows no such divisions. It knows that you cannot cut yourself in half and expect to be whole. You cannot exile your pain and expect to feel joy. You cannot silence your fear and expect to feel love. Wholeness is not achieved through repression but through integration. As Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making them be darkness conscious. This is the work you are being called to do. Not to rise above your humanity, but to descend into it fully, to walk into the depths of your own being, to face the places you fear, to gather what you find there, not as enemies, but as lost children longing to come home. The ancient path is always the same: the descent, the confrontation, the integration, and then the return. But when you return, you are no longer who you were. You are changed, marked, initiated. You carry within you not only your own healing, but the wisdom to guide others. For the journey of the soul is never for the self alone. It is always for the whole. When you reclaim your lost parts, when you integrate your shadow, when you awaken to yourself, you become a beacon, not of perfection, but of authenticity. Your very presence becomes medicine. Your life becomes a testament that it is possible to descend into darkness and emerge with light, that it is possible to face your deepest wounds and find within them your greatest gifts, that it is possible to stop ignoring the soul and instead to live from it. But this choice is yours alone. No one can make it for you. No one can walk your path, confront your shadow, or awaken yourself. This is the sacred solitude of the soul's journey. Others may walk alongside you, but none can walk for you. And so, the question lingers as it always does. Will you continue to ignore the truth of your soul? Will you keep chasing the distractions, the accolades, the comforts that numb but never nourish? Will you keep living at the surface, terrified of the depths that call to you in your quiet moments? Or will you turn inward? Will you finally stop running, stop pretending, stop performing, and then start listening? The soul does not shout. It does not demand. It waits. It waits in the spaces you try to avoid, in the silence between your thoughts, in the ache beneath your laughter, in the stillness behind your busyness. It waits for you to remember that you are not merely flesh and bone, but spirit and mystery, that you are not merely a collection of habits and histories, but a living, breathing soul on a journey of becoming, that you are not here to conform, but to transform. And this transformation is not an event. It is not a singular moment of enlightenment, but a lifelong process, a spiral, ever deepening, ever unfolding. You will descend, and you will rise. You will lose yourself, and you will find yourself again. You will face the death of old identities, and you will experience the birth of new possibilities, again and again, for the journey never ends. As the Proverbs say, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Proverbs 4:18. Your path too is unfolding, not toward some distant perfection, but toward ever greater authenticity, ever deeper wholeness, ever fuller embodiment of your soul's truth. But only if you choose to walk it, only if you choose to stop ignoring the truth you already know. In the quiet places you dare not look, the truth that your soul is not your enemy but your guide, not a burden but your very essence, not a weakness but your most profound strength. The world does not need more people performing roles, chasing empty achievements, or conforming to lifeless scripts. The world needs souls, awake, embodied, integrated. The world needs you, as you truly are, not as you think you should be, not as others expect you to be, but as you are, in the raw, untamed, magnificent totality of your being. The time for pretending has passed. The time for running has ended. Now is the time to listen. Now is the time to return to your soul, to yourself, to your home, and in doing so, to step fully into the life that has been waiting for you all along. But hear me, returning home to your soul is not the end of the journey. It is only the beginning. For when you awaken to your soul, you awaken to the unbearable beauty and unbearable responsibility of being fully alive. No longer can you sleepwalk through your days, numbed by distractions and routines. No longer can you pretend that your life is something that simply happens to you. You realize, with both terror and awe, that you are a co-creator of your existence, that your choices shape not only your destiny, but the very fabric of the world around you. This is the sacred burden of awakening, to live in alignment with your soul, to honor its truths even when they cost you the approval of others, even when they lead you away from what is familiar and safe. Because the soul does not care about your comfort, it cares about your truth, and truth is rarely comfortable. It is disruptive. It dismantles the convenient lies you've told yourself, the roles you've played to survive, the masks you've worn to be accepted. But beneath that disruption, there is liberation. For the first time, you breathe freely, no longer confined by the narrow limits of who you thought you were supposed to be. You become who you were always meant to be, not a perfect being, but a whole one, not a flawless image, but an authentic presence. And authenticity, that is the most radical act you can offer to a world drowning in artifice. The soul, when embodied, does not seek to dominate, to impress, or to conquer. It seeks only to be, fully, unapologetically, courageously. It moves through the world, with quiet authority, grounded not in the need for validation but in the unshakable knowing of its own worth. As it is written, "Be still, and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. This stillness, this knowing, this sacred presence, this is the gift of the soul. It is the place within you that cannot be shaken by the storms of life, that cannot be diminished by rejection, that cannot be destroyed by failure, because it is eternal. Your soul existed long before your fears were born, and it will exist long after they have dissolved. Your soul is the part of you that remembers who you are when the world forgets. It is the flame that continues to burn when all else has turned to ash. It is the voice that calls you forward when everything within you wants to retreat. It is the compass that points you toward what is real, even when the path is obscured by uncertainty. And that path, it will ask everything of you. It will require you to die 1,000 small deaths, the death of your pride, the death of your illusions, the death of your need to be right, to be in control, to be safe. But each death makes room for a new life. Each letting go creates space for a deeper becoming. Each surrender brings you closer to the sacred center of your being, until, at last, you stand in the fullness of who you are, no longer divided, no longer performing, no longer asleep, but awake, alive, whole. And, from this place, everything changes. Your relationships become deeper, not because you need others to complete you, but because you can finally meet them as a whole being. Your work becomes more meaningful, not because it grants you identity, but because it becomes an expression of your soul's truth. Your life becomes a testament, not to what you have achieved, but to who you have become. You are no longer driven by fear, but guided by purpose, no longer enslaved by the opinions of others, but liberated by the authenticity of your own being, no longer lost in the noise of the world, but anchored in the silent wisdom of your soul. This is the life that awaits you, not a life without pain, but a life with meaning, not a life without struggle, but a life with purpose, not a life without fear, but a life in which fear no longer has the final word. The soul has been calling you all along, in your quiet moments of longing, in your restless nights of questioning, in your inexplicable yearning for something more. It has been calling, not to lead you away from your life, but to lead you deeper into it, to show you that your wounds are not the end of your story, but the beginning of your transformation, to remind you that your pain is not a sign of your brokenness, but of your aliveness, to invite you to live, not merely to exist. So now, as you hear these words, know this: your soul is still calling, not with the violence of demand, but with the gentleness of invitation, not with the coercion of fear, but with the promise of freedom, not with the urgency of time, but with the patience of eternity. And it will continue to call until you are ready to answer. So, the question, eternal and inescapable, remains: will you keep ignoring the truth about your soul, or will you finally come home? The choice is yours. It has always been yours and your soul, and it is waiting, always waiting.